camera is super duper bright. So, who's in there? I'll be calling for myself on this shit, I swear to God. Who is in the house? If you're in the house, say something. I don't like talking to myself until the fucking AI and shit. I want y'all to know that I don't really like doing this shit. I do this shit for y'all. I do not really like being on camera. I don't like fucking sitting there talking to a fucking contraption. I swear to God. So, today's topic is about money and the relationship between money and the spiritual world. Okay? If you have any questions, you say it now. Because I really don't like talking to this shit, y'all. I swear to God. I feel like I'm talking to myself. And when I talk to myself, somebody answers. So, I'm going to need y'all to participate so I could, you know what I mean? Because if not, this shit is real strange for me to be doing, I swear to God. So y'all just bear with me one moment. Let me finish putting my glasses together. Let me finish changing my water. Y'all just stay with me. We're gonna get so y'all can come in here. Don't go nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Let me just put this together. I'm here, y'all. Just give me a second. Coming right with y'all. Give me a second. Give me a second. I wouldn't be a spiritualist if I ain't changed my glasses. I swear to God. So, who's in the house today? Who's here? Let's get a roll call. Popping. All right. So, whoa. Rub your stones with palm oil. What are you talking about? Let's see that again. So, New York, 4276. I don't know exactly what that is, but so are you talking about your Orisha stones? You got to be a little bit more specific. Mm-hmm. You got to be a little bit more specific with that question because I don't know what you mean with your stones. What stones? Oh, snitch on us. Forgive you what right in the mockage. So, you grease up a leg bar when you're having issues with things are not moving, when things are not moving smoothly, right? So you grease them up because that's the thing. You grease the wheels up, the cogs of the wheels, so that they move smoothly, so that there's no friction, right? You grease things up so that things when they try to try to get a hold of you or a hold of a leg bar, you too slippery, right? Does the flame used for the bovida hold a significance? Well, I talk about that in the glass of water and the candle, right? In the glass of water and the candle, I'll explain to you that everything on the bovida is a description of how you would like the spirits to contact you. So you are dealing with 4 elements. So you have the glass of water, obviously water. Then the candle represents fire, right? And then you have the incense and the flowers, which represents earth. And then your prayers or a bell or a gong or something that makes sound honors air. So you now, if you're talking about, hold on. Now the teha, I'm gonna be honest with you. That shit is that's a souvenir. If you don't have oro, you don't really need to be having no teha. And the Babalawo sold you some bullshit, and it's not your fault because you don't know, right? Nigga sold you some shit that is of no concern to you. What the fuck you need a teha for, right? It's not a part of Egun. It is not one of the icons of Egun. It is an icon of the Oro Society, which you will find in Cuba they refer to as Orun. Okay, if you were told in your Mano ruler it's to ask Ifa about marrying a wife, would it still be okay to get Caracoles asking the same question from a competent diviner? Absolutely, anything that you ask. In terms of the your questions when you are in Ita or in Osode is a legitimate question. Whether or not you want to hear the answers is there's a whole nother ball game, right? Because you better, and so I don't necessarily, I try to tell people that me personally, I try to keep their reaches out of that type of stuff. That, unless they make something, make their presence known about that decision or about that circumstance, I don't bring it to them. That's a human issue, and I should be able to tell about that by myself, right? What do I like? So if I'm sitting there getting abused, then I must like that shit. So I don't really try to bring them into my love life because, once you get the answer, then you responsible, right? When you receive at the Bovida, I'm thinking you got. Okay, hold on. You lost me there. Okay. 1 second. You're going a little bit crazy with that question. I said, When you receive at the boulder, am I correct? I'm thinking you're not only receiving with the mind, but with the body as well. Okay. So to Aquarius, I'm really not sure what you mean by that. When you receive at the boulder, I'm talking about information. Um, I want you all to understand that these things are aesthetic. Yes, they have purpose and they have power to the psychology, but you have to be able to necessarily um, function without them. I go to a misa. I don't need to be at a misa. I could be somewhere and ain't got no glass of water in the candle, and the dead man gonna get to talking. You understand? So you know that is the purpose of sitting there. So it's literally like the gym. It doesn't mean that you can't do push-ups outside of the gym, but it's the appropriate place to do such. And so it has all of the mechanisms and all of the machines for you to work out, right? And so that's what the Bovid is. That's the gym essentially for you spiritually. Does it mean that you can't do pull-ups at the stoplight? Sure you can, right? But then you have to think about your environment and who's gonna stop you. Like, hey sir, why are you pulling up on the, you know what I mean? And all of that. So so when you conduct these things, the Boveda, your altar gives you that safe that safe place, right? Have I ever made frequent offerings to my king? No. Maybe on a ruler's day, if that, because I'm not really a calendar Orisha priest. I could care less about any of the feast days, because calendars change from rulers, and so fuck do I know what day it is, right? Um, you saying I gotta try it? What? Doing what? Please explain. I need to try what? I gotta understand. Okay, y'all gotta be a little bit more, because I know when you get the typing, sometimes that shit fuck up. So I have Awofaka. I don't need to use it. It's just a divining tool if I need to necessarily break glass in case of emergency. I got too many Orisha in my ocean to be just worrying about some king. I promise you that. Yeah, I'm saying I don't. So Ifa again is a fraternity, and so unless I'm pledging an allegiance to that fraternity to perform that task, which is for them to do Dafa or Equile all day, right? They divine. I don't do that shit. So E5 to me is relevant in me having Awofaka, which is a conversation um about necessarily my life and my destiny, what I said I was gonna come do to heaven and what can be changed and what can't. Okay, and then anything that I necessarily advance in E5, which I have. Okay, I hear what you're saying, and Modukwe, but I'm not here for success, my nigga. I'm here to experience. I don't give a fuck. Like I'm not, like all of that shit. Like do this and this will bring money. I don't do that, right? Um, I hear you, but Ifa is not my savior, and I have to be ready unless they're Rumina. But no, I have Chango me. Chango, I have Yamonja, I have Oshun, I have Alekba, I got you. Obaluaye, Nanumi. I got a lot of rich in here. I don't have to check in with when I go to E5, I go to E5. Feel me? That's a fact. Tell them now. That's what they need to read. But yeah, I received that, yeah, no doubt, and put Nikin and yeah, that's cool. I got Acheo Rumila, right? So if I need to do something and I need to break glass in case of emergency, I know how to dafa for myself because I have two hands of Rumila. right? I have two sets of Vikine. So with one hand of Vikine, yeah, I can grease my hands with palm oil, honey, and rub them together and put more Vikine in my mouth, right? And I can put Achera ruler on my tongue, and yeah, I could do and break glass and get myself out of something, yeah, right? But I'm very clear about the ita lesson of that of my Odu. So if you want to be nosy, you can go look my Odu up. Owani pokon pokon pokon. Okay? That means don't fuck with me. Like, for real, for real. Because when the river sounds, stones get to moving. And that's what my Odu means. And so you could go and try to make it bold to try to hurt me, but I have God in heaven. And so what is for me will be for me, and what is not for me will not be for me. So, and so I know that I'm not necessarily slighted to be, the world's richest man, and I'm not looking to do that. After that, you got more problems. What the fuck do you do all day? Right? So, my ferifun, orumila, adifafun, ifa. But when I necessarily need to, the Dillagoons will tell me. I'll show up with some shit that'll be like, oh man, you need to go to the Babala. And then I'll take my ass to the Babala. Until then, I don't really, I got some stuff from them. And it works. You know what I mean? But I'm a spiritualist first. And my OD5 will always talk about that. What is the best way to take care of a leg bar? The best way to take care of a leg bar is to be truthful and be true to heart. And do not try to necessarily fool yourself. Because the leg bar knows exactly what's in your heart. So if you want to necessarily have sex with a midget and that's what your desire is, he know that. There's no sense in trying to fool him. So let me ask you. You saying you got Ochosi? Is this Isheshe? I'm just asking. You say you have Ochosi, but I'm saying by way of what? By what allegiance? By way of Isheshe or by Lukumini? Lukumini. Okay. And what Ocha do you have, man? You have Oba, man? You have Oba Nani, man? Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. All right, so let me just say this. So you got full Ochosi. How? No, I'm trying to understand. So you don't have Ocha, but you have full Ochosi? Educate me. Cause there's some shit that they be doing now that I just don't, not even I don't agree. That shit just not right. They be doing some shit, but we'll get to that in a second. But I'm trying to figure out. Well, you said you have Ochosi full, like the Orisha Ochosi. What are you saying? I don't. You fucking with me, man? You trolling me? Let me just, just let me know. So I'll keep entertaining you, but. Okay, full. That's not really possible. And the Babalawos are guilty of doing that bullshit. They don't know what the fuck they talking about. You can't have Ochosi full if you don't have Ogun full. Because Ochosi cannot precede Ogun because he's not elder than Ogun. So you can't receive Ogun and you ain't got a Legba. You can't receive Ochosi unless you got Ogun. Yeah, that's fine. But in Lukumi, Ogun is not given with the lagoons in the Lukumi Asiento ceremony. And so to receive Ochosi and him have the lagoons before Ogun is impossible because the ears don't pass the head. I don't care how big your Ogun is. If you don't have Ogun full with Ita, meaning that he has caracoles. Now, they got this new shit where they be giving niggas washed Orisha with just stones. And that shit is impossible because that's not Orisha. Orisha is Ota de Lagoon. And you can't. So in order for in Lukumi for you to receive any Orisha, so this is the rule because it's called Regla Ocha. Let's not forget that it's called the rule of the Ochas. Regla Ocha says you can receive as Aleo, as being a stranger coming into this. You can receive a Legba Ogun, Ochosi, Osun, and Bosero, which means of the foot. Then you can move up to receiving Ibeji, right? And then you can receive Olokum, and that's what they call Medio Santo. In order to receive any other Orisha after that, you must receive Obatala. You have to have, or someone in your house has to have Obatala already. So like if your mother had Ocha and she has Obatala in the house, then you can receive a Wash Oshun. But that Wash Oshun can't go with you nowhere. It has to stay wherever Obatala is. That's the rule. So this is why in Lukumi, when they give out Pinaldo, after Pinaldo, most Santeros receive Ochosi. And I know this because I had to give Ogun conversation before I could receive Ochosi. It doesn't matter how big your Ogun is. Bigger in this religion doesn't make meaning stronger. There's people that have full Ogun and it's in the same pot that they got from maybe from the Barwala when they received their warriors. You just received the caracoles, you got a couple little tools in them. And it's Ogun, and it's just how old he is and how active the person is. I mean, no Orisha is actually not strong. You understand? When they say full, means that you have access to that Orisha to make a bow directly to them without any liaison. And I would be very careful with that whole Oba thing because that says that if they start trying to talk about making you Oba direct, there's no such thing. And you will be buying an invention. Because Oba Nani does not go in the head. Never has. Not in Africa and not in Cuba. And this has been confirmed with my elders. One of the scholars of the religion, I asked him, and he said, when he asked them in Africa, they said Kolade. She doesn't have a crown. When he asked them in Cuba, they said Kolade. And both times they said Oba Nani, the disobedient one. And so there is no crown for Oba. There is no Osun for Oba. And so if they try to tell you that you need to make Oba direct, Those people may not have bad intentions, but they are greatly misinformed. Okay, that's not. There was never. There's no cadre of children of Oba names. They didn't start making Oba through Oshun until the 1950s, late 60s. And a lot of the old timers were not in compliance with it. They did not believe in it. It was not their customs. Because Oba Nani is not Ledi Ocha. She is Ademu Orisha. She should not go on the head because she represents disappointment, regrets, and tragedy. And so, children of Oba should be made to Oshun. See, now you asking questions that should be asked to your godparents. You asking questions that's going to cost money. Remember, this is a secret. Y'all keep forgetting. But I'm giving you all this conceptual stuff so that when you walk in there or when you go with these people and they start talking, you don't necessarily have to decode what they're talking about. Me giving out ebows, nah. Like none of my books is there any ebows or any spells or anything like that. My ability to make ebo is based on my 40,000 hours of listening to the old timers, right? And so, yeah, I don't know. We ain't giving out no ebos. That not no nah. We ain't doing that. You should be asking your godparents that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a substitute teacher. And I don't, this thing is a secret, man, and it has been exploited beyond belief. Everybody, and the vast majority of the people that are talking don't know what the fuck they talking about. Feel me? And so, yeah, so like, for instance, and so, I don't have confidence in the Bible laws. I have confidence in Ifa as a system, yes, but the people who are purveying it are bumbling idiots. First of all, they're uneducated. They have no sense of metaphysics. They have no sense of spirituality. They are pragmatic idiots who are just looking for another religion to be missionaries in. People want to be the truth. And so they want to, I am the truth, and what I do is the truth, and it's the only way. And they've become much like the colonizer. And so I don't have faith in the Babalawo. I have faith in Ifa, the adjective. Or the action, the adverb. And so I don't necessarily, I don't believe, hey Kiana, I don't believe in necessarily them having all of this influence that they have in terms of what somebody should make and all this like they be pulling, you should make a doo-doo-eye and you should make a lofi, and shut up, my nigga. Like, that's not what the rule is. And so Lukumi is not Isheshe and it is not Yoruba land, and it has not been Yoruba land for several hundred years. So they can miss me with what they're doing in Yoruba land. That shit don't mean shit to me. See what I'm saying? So I'm not lying to you. You had to receive Caracos or Ogun before you could receive Ochosi. Now, that don't mean that you need to necessarily have Pinaldo to have Ita from Ogun. That's not true. That's just a money grab. That's just the niggas making that shit into a fucking pyramid scheme. Because originally the conversation is how the fuck do niggas be putting Ogun on niggas' heads without no Dilagoon. Because Orisha is Dilagoon and Ota. And Ogun is the only Orisha they put on your head with tools. Him and Ochosi. So the fact that they like, now you gotta feed Ogun. So then they just start stretching that shit out. Except Pinaldo is just an expensive Matanza. And so I'm just not into it. Like, if I give Pinaldo, it'll be to make sure my godfather and them in Cuba have a couple dollars. It ain't gonna be because of any other reason. You feel me? And so, yeah, that's a lie. And I'm telling you, any one of these niggas that you go back to and ask them shit, them niggas, if they feel I'm saying some bullshit, tell them niggas to come step up and let's debate. And don't use a book. Tell them niggas don't use a book. Don't touch not one book. Feel me? And then we can debate. Because I'm not debating with nobody that's just reading out some book. We ain't gonna do that. So, the topic today is spiritualism and money. Money is not the root of all evil. Greed is. Now, there's some houses of E5 that say that money is cursed. And that is not true. What money brought with it came envy and arguments. Right? And they say it brought tragedy with it. But money in its nature is not evil. Money didn't do anything. Money is just a slave. It is a slave that is traded amongst people back and forth. And so when you understand that money is not evil, then you understand that, money has a purpose. So I'm going to read a prayer for you all about money. Oh. This is from something called Science of the Mind. Right? This is very old. I get it from my grandmother. All right? And so the treatment for money says, I now subconsciously accept this treatment. There is only one creative cause, God. There is only one mind, God. There is only one life, God. And there is only one substance, God. This present universe is the glory of God. It is moving, flexible, fluidic creation. It is alive with the life, the abundance, and the richness of God. I abide in prosperity. Mind created me in order that it might act through me. Therefore, I am receptive to its abundance. I am receptive to its circulation in my life in the form of money. Money is God's idea of circulation in my world of finance. I accept this idea completely. I appreciate this idea. I like it. Money being God in action is of absolute good. It is wholesome. It is a blessing to man, and I am now prospered with it. I have no fear of lack, for I believe that I have plenty of money. It is God's activity in my world. It is God's activity in my bank account. It is God's activity in my investments. It is God's activity in everything to which I lay my hands. This money is flowing. This money is free. I do not attempt to lock it up. I do not put a fence around it. It is God's money. I let it flow in. I let it flow out. As I release it, I know that it comes back to me pressed down, shaken together, and running over. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I am now free in money. I rejoice in it. I appreciate it, and I thank God for it. I have money forevermore. Amen. Right? And so, that is the treatment for money. This is something that I learned from my grandmother. Right? That you don't try to lock money up because it is currency. Right? And the current must be able to flow. The Reverend Ike was definitely right. He was just ahead of his time. And so Reverend Ike says things like, get your butt out of the way, which means stop the buts. I want to, but. Trying to, but. He says, now get your butt out the way. And so the same thing with money. When you accept money as money is and not try to control it, then not only will your finances begin to be abundant, but also the love in your life will be abundant, because you will understand that you cannot trap love. You must allow it to flow, right? And if it comes back to you, it comes back to you pressed, shaking, and running over. And so the same thing with anything that you desire, right? When you desire it, you first want to have it without having any understanding of what it is, right? So you want something that you have no reference to. That is to desire it, right? And then once you have it and then you love it, if you love it, you allow it to do what it came to do. And so you don't stop it because you love what it is. You love everything that it does. And so you don't try to trap it up. And so this is how you affect money in your world. When you begin to understand that for every obstacle, you set a tone, meaning that so the obstacle comes and you be like, it's going to be all right, because it will be, right? There is some sort of, but when you are frustrated, you tend to not see the things that are in front of you. So, for instance, when you're looking for something that you're missing and you become frustrated, the more you become frustrated, the more it becomes hidden from you. And then, once you calm down, you realize that it was right in front of you. And the same thing goes for money and all obstacles that when you're calm and you accept this obstacle as it is, then when you begin to necessarily make provisions to detour around it, it's not so hard because you accept that the detour is necessary and it's a part of the journey, it's a part of the path. And so this idea of money being the root of all evil is the evidence of the immaturity in the vast majority of the world's religions. To blame money is immature. Money is at the beckon of you, right? So the money can't get up and walk out of your pocket. It can't go and purchase something without your consent. And so it is your slave and you control it. If you want to kidnap it and store it up someplace, okay, but it will not react correctly to you. It will find, so that when it finds its way out, all of them will leave. And so this is how people have a whole lot of money and they lock it up, and then all of a sudden they lose it all at one time because it's like opening the door. Because none of these quote unquote slaves are loyal to you because you treated them terrible, right? But when you allow the money to be free, to go where it's supposed to go and affect who it's supposed to affect, you are doing God's work. Because now you're not holding no money back. Because just like a stream, when you make a dam, you're stopping everything down the river from allowing them to have access to the river, right? You're a beaver, right? So you're just going to stop up the river and then nobody down the river can have something to drink. This is the equivalent of you holding on to the money. You don't want nobody else to use it. It can't bless nobody else because you have kidnapped it. But once you understand that it goes and it comes, and if you let it go, it will come back, it will return. It will return to you in times of need. Just like your favorite, your children, your family members, or anything that you actually love. If you let it go outside and go run around and do what it does, most times it'll come back for dinner. Right? Yes, in some, well, that's why they talk about the blood flows in O'Shea Meiji, right? So when you have clots in the blood and things that are slowing up the blood, this is what causes all of the medical issues, right? And so it talks about that with money. When you understand that the euphemism or the allegory of money is that of a river, so that you have money as a currency which is flowing, and it is flowing through the river banks, right? And so the banks are what give it direction. They're what give it limitations, right? And so when there's too much money, you get a flood, and then that water becomes unclean, and it becomes undrinkable. Well, the same thing with the money. If you start printing too much of it, you flood it, and then it becomes dirty. and it becomes like flooded water, things floating in it, and it's all over the place, and it becomes a nuisance, right? And so that's what we're experiencing right now with inflation. They're printing too much money. They're allowing the river to overflow. And when the river overflows, it just fucking floods everything. And when it floods everything, things get damaged, right? And so we understand that money, because money's nature, because the first currency, let's be very clear, the first untradeable, unedible means of exchange comes out of the cowrie shell, which is born in the ocean. And so it has the nature of water. And water is nourishing and nurturing in its nature. So we find like right now they're talking stupid about the water. Have faith in that the water has a memory and it has a ancient concept of nurturing, that you can't stop the water. So that in our traditions, the only time that the world is not good is when the water is not on. It is the only time that you see all the Orishas will gather together to talk to God about, hey man, it's a drought, make it rain, right? Okay. And so these euphemisms used for money are intrinsic in the human experience. It has nothing to even do with Africans, right? The fact that motherfuckers talk about make it rain and all that with the money, because money is associated with water. And so because it's associated with water, spirits have they have a knack for finding it. Because they say that the next world, the world of the dead, is much like an aquatic world. They live in a different type of water than us, right? So this goes into the concept, into spirituality about the stomach. Now, this is all relative because you can't fill your stomach without money these days. So money in the stomach. So they say that your stomach is the brain which controls your lower nature, your earthly plane, right? Your brain in your head is what deals with the ethereal, with the celestial things. So you think about God, but your stomach thinks about food and money. Now the reason why they have these two brains, right, is that in the stomach there is a membrane that keeps all of the things in the stomach together. Okay. Now this membrane, when they in Orisha, when they slaughter the goat and they're quartering it up, there's a part where they take the membrane that was holding the stomach, and they take that line and they show it to everyone, and they put it to your eyes, and they say, ah, la chi de de, and whatever Orisha, led by la chi de de, ah, la chi de de. And then at some point, they put this over the eyes of the goat, of the head that is sitting in the vessel of the Orishas. Now, this Allah, because that's what it's called, Allah Chidede. Now, Allah, we translate that to white cloth, but that it's not a misrepresentation. It is an unexplained statement. So the Allah is what we call the white sheep. And when we start ceremonies, we put the sheep up to create a line of demarcation that within this room, there are celestial things happening, right? Okay. And so Obatala, or the Allah, is the ability to protect us from the reality of what is the creator. So that you will never see God, because again, you would have to come out of God in order to observe that which you live within. Now, this is all relative, because this Allah, this membrane, right? So it's a membrane that keeps you from understanding what is behind the veil. If you understand that within your stomach is a universe, so by scale, any micro bacteria or any micro being that lives inside your stomach is a whole universe within your stomach. And every organ within your body would be the equivalent of a planet in terms of scale. So you are microscopic, and the heart would be as giant as Jupiter. And each one of these organs would be the equivalent of a different planet within our solar system, in contrast to scale. So you have a universe within your stomach, right? Okay. And so when we deal with the Palo Mayombe, the pot is rotund because it represents the roundness of the belly, right? So because we know this is a universe, because you give birth to a new star when a woman is pregnant. So now within that galaxy, which is her stomach, a new star has been born, and it grows, right? Because we know it's a star because when the sperm hits it, a light emanates, a blast happens, and now this new star is now starting to manifest itself, right? And then at some point it is shot out into another dimension. Okay. So understanding that the stomach has to be placated, we have to eat, right? And in eating, so when we eat, this is all cause and effect for us to have something to trade with, exchange, which is the name of the universe, because everything is a give and take. For every galaxy to be born, something had to die and something was given, and then now something else was created, which is the haggling. And so this goes back to when I tell you all that the Yoruba, by theology, believe that the whole world is a marketplace. And in the marketplace there is trade happening, an exchange is happening, right? And so money is the vehicle or the mechanism or the tool used for said trade. So that you currency, because what we're going to talk about is the difference between commodity, money, currency. Commodity is what the money is backed by, meaning an industry, something that creates supply and demand, right? Then you have money, and money is only gold and silver, because gold and silver are forever. They never change. They do not oxidize. They don't change in weight. They don't disintegrate. They will always be gold. They will always be silver. And so that is money. And the money is circulated by way of the currency, albeit the coin, the cowrie, the bill, the yen, whatever it is, that is currency. So certain orishas, it's always the orisha of money, but certain orishas are the orishas of commodity. They back the money. Then there's certain orishas that are the money, and then there's certain orishas that are dealing with the currency. So when you understand these different dynamics of money, then you start to free money of the guilt of being evil, because there's nothing evil about money. It is godly, right? It comes out of the ocean, out of the Garden of Eden. The ocean is the Garden of Eden. No one ever starves in the ocean. No one dies of thirst in the ocean. There's plenty to eat and plenty to drink. But everyone who left out of the ocean must always return back to the water, because even the insects and the bacteria require water to drink, right? And so we understand that currency is godly because it came out of the ocean. It comes from the Garden of Eden, so to speak. It is the leftovers. It is the ancestry of the actual ocean. These cowrie shells are bones of something that lived and died. And so this is why Orisha traditions becomes the ultimate ode and reverence to ancestry, because nothing is older than a stone and ain't too much older than a cowrie shell. And so these things are representations of the inanimate and the animate. And so Orisha represent that which that you can't see move and that which used to move. Right? So money being a water, a component of the water universe, is highly spiritual. Again, it flows. Right? We talk about turning money into liquid. Right? And so there is no evil in money. So when you begin to start to conceptualize money in the spiritual sense, you will alleviate it of the guilt. And when something is no longer guilty, it tends to come around. And so if somebody's guilty of something, they don't want to come around you. So if you make money guilty of being evil, then why would money come look for you? Because you think money is evil. And why would you want to be around evil? So this is a vast mistake on behalf of those who interpret to say that money is the root of all evil. This is not true at all. Money is in fact actually the fruit of a tree, not the root. Yeah, I don't give out no classes in Palo. That shit ain't happening. You join my Munaso and you swear allegiance to my Nganda and to my fraternity, and then I'll start to necessarily give you up what I necessarily had to necessarily eat shit to get from these old people. See, because that's the thing, motherfuckers want something for free. Everybody want everything on sale and be like, nah. And then niggas want to come see me after the Babalaos or the fucking Nigerians that took all your money, and now you want me to come through and give it to you for free because you think that money is evil. Nah, son. What you do with money, again, money is the slave. And so are you responsible? Are you a good slave master? Right? Because there's nothing wrong with having slaves. It's just, how do you treat them? Right? Do you allow them to come and go? Or do you keep them locked up? Because again, like I said, the money didn't make you go spend money in the mall, spend it in the mall. It didn't influence you to do that. That's you. Money didn't say, yo, take me to the mall and just give me away. Nah, money didn't say that. Money ain't say, yo, spend some money on this chick who don't really like you, who's going to necessarily give you a hard time, and you ain't going to get what you're looking for. Money ain't tell you to do that. Money is there when you're in trouble. Yo, my little brother just got locked up. I need bail money. Money shows up. Yo, I got to get this fucking thing fixed in my house because it's leaking in the roof. Money comes through and saves the day. There's nothing evil about that. And if I'm saying anything, somebody please tell me I'm wrong. I would really like to know what your experience with money is. Because I know that money comes through and saves the day. It comes through in times of despair. Right? It gives you access to things. It allows you to indulge in your desires and fantasies. Money allows all of this. So there's nothing evil about it. And so when you accept that money is not evil, and that it is a messenger and a steward of God's will, right? Then you begin to necessarily see money show up and have a different relationship with you, right? So they say that you can't receive no money with balled up fists. You can't receive shit with balled up fists. So sometimes you have to relax and be able to receive something, and that requires humility, right? So again, miss me with the money is evil shit. I'm not with that. Because, and again, you're talking about people's interpretations, and the niggas who write down them shits in them old dude books, you know, these niggas already been influenced by some fucking Judeo-Christian shit. Because by the time they get to writing, in order for them to learn how to write, they had to go to the fucking school, which was run by the motherfucking Christians or the Muslims. So already the concept of any of this African stuff is already perverse. They're not looking at it from the perspective of their customs. They're looking at it from the perspective of their colonizers. And so they would write some stupid shit and say that, oh, money is tragedy and money is cursed. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. Human beings are. You get some money and you don't know how to act. That's your problem. That's not money problem. Money didn't do that to you. You feel me? Money didn't make you an asshole. You already was one. That's what they say when people get money, it just exacerbates who they are. Exactly. The spiritual transactions. So now the thing is, the commodities that are integral to them in their world are memories. And the memories are facilitated by way of a glass of water and a candle. And then by the way of a photo, by way of prayer, by way of remembrance, by way of flowers, acknowledgement. This is all back to memory. So you understand that they're transactional. So you give them these things and then they give you this money on this side, right? And they give you the money so that you have to explain to them because they don't pay rent the same way we do. They got some different shit going on over there, right? And so you gotta necessarily make an exchange so that you understand that in the exchange, they say fair exchange, no robbery. I give you something, you take something. I give you something, you give me something. It's a give and take. The universe is transactional. And so it is the disdain for slavery gives you the idea that money and wealth is of the evil because, of course, your villain is abundant in money. And so you associate his abundance with his evil and you don't want that. And so then you reject money. It is. It's about charity and the strength that. So like I was talking about this on my live. Black people get mad. They say, oh, Jay-Z, what you doing fucking with Target? You don't have to fuck with Target. He does. He sold them a dream. I can make black people come back in here if y'all niggas give me this thing or do whatever. Now, you don't have to comply with that. And that ain't gonna stop him from getting his money. So let the black man get his money. Mind your business. Right? Because you'll be talking that shit until Target motherfucking pick up and go, and now you ain't got nowhere to buy your little cheap clothes and your fucking groceries. Right? It's access and motherfucking accessibility. Motherfuckers be acting crazy. And so, again, all of this misinterpretation comes by way of motherfuckers' disdain for money and their mistrust for money. And spiritualism doesn't allow for that. Money is God is God in action, as it says. And so when you come to the realization and acceptance that money is a part of this experience, then you don't abhor it. You begin to embrace it. And when you embrace it, you will be able to use it the way that you want to. Well, ain't no such thing as free. That's a trap. Right? The only thing, because even in the Sahara, when the motherfuckers go to the river to drink, yeah, it's free, but you still gotta watch out for the crocodile. And so you could pay for this drink with your life. No, it's just, what it is, and you're right. It's corny, and what it is it's black people trying to still run the same play. I use this example all the time. If you ever go to New York City back in the days, you're on the train, a bunch of little niggas get on the train. Yo, I ain't selling no candy for no basketball team. I'm selling candy to stay out of trouble, right? And so they all doing the same shit. Now, one of them little niggas thought to sell no waters, no headphones, motherfuckers sell some chargers, none of that shit, because he's following what the last nigga did. So the baby boomers, they marched, and so now the motherfucking Gen motherfucking X, they want to march too. No, my nigga, you don't have to march. They march so that you wouldn't have to do that. You have to move the needle up to the next motherfucking state. So boycott, it shouldn't even need to be a boycott, my nigga. Why aren't you motherfucking understanding where your dollar goes? So most people want to and so the reality is that most black people like to floss on other black people, right? Which is, again, there's no abundance because there's no charity in that. You bought this car not functionally, you bought it to show the nigga across the street you got more money than him. And motherfuckers associate money with power and respect, and that's not really true, right? That is if you want to live in the world of finances and of, you know, motherfuckers with the mask, right? And so, exactly, complain about Target on the Meta platform, like, man, pick your poison. You know, motherfuckers be talking shit about America, right? But everybody else in the world is fucking slaves to something. Understand that, right? And the problem is that your morality keeps you entrapped into a fucking in a cage that don't have no walls, because you trying to be good with God and motherfucker telling you trying to spend you that God don't give a fuck about none of that shit. You need to get good with motherfucking with for lack of words, karma. And how do you do that? Well, if I killed a bunch of niggas, guess what? I'm gonna give some money away too. What is that cat doing out in my yard? The damn kitten out there screaming. So money is not your enemy. Money is your means to apply. And so, like, your morality, you worrying about what God. Like I said, if I give out money and I help a bunch of children, and I had to kill 43 men to do so, then I necessarily paid in balance, and that's what the universe is truly about. You can't be all good and you can't be all bad. And when you understand that, then you will participate in the universe cooperatively. Which means that when you see your moment, you take it, right? You see a moment, you take it. When you see somebody else's moment when they down, you take that time to assist them, because you might be down and you were paying it forward, right? It's the circulation. So just like the money circulates, so do the blessings. And so if you hold the money up, you're holding up the blessings. Like I said, you holding that money, you don't know who it's supposed to go to and how it's supposed to help them. You holding it, you're not allowing it to do what God made it to do, which is to assist people in circumstances and obstacles that require finances. So, it's been an hour. I've given you guys a good hour of my controversial brain. Okay, don't listen to that fucking dude. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. The order of operations is this. You meet a diviner, a spiritualist, a babalawo, somebody. You meet them. First, they're going to have a consultation done for you, albeit with whatever their medium is. It might be tarot cards if they're spiritualists. It might be a glass of water and a candle. It might be the D-Lagoons if they're Orishas. It might be their Equilay if they're babalawos. Now they set a program for you. And so then you eventually begin to receive what's called the Elekes, which allows you membership to someone's Ocha Ile, to their spiritual house. And then you start to necessarily go by their program. In going by their program, one must fulfill Palo commitments before making Cariocha. That guy that's going viral is a fucking idiot. He couldn't stand in front of no real Paleros and no real Santeros and say that and they not get ready to jump him and beat the fuck out of him. It has always been known that once you make Ocha, there are a lot of people who made Ocha and then they really needed Palo as well, and then they had to come up with a ceremony which was an invention as a consolation prize to necessarily assist in taking care of that which was neglected. Ocha is the final frontier. Ifa is the final frontier. You can't make Ifa and then go back and make Ocha, right? And so you have to know what the order of operations is. It is unfortunate, and this is no slight to any community, but it seems that the Puerto Ricans have this thing that they want to spread, false information, and it's not all of them, but it's generally it's these young Puerto Rican dudes who have no melanin in them, and they're talking about Congo traditions, and none of them have ever been to Cuba, right? They sure enough ain't never been to no Congo, and they're talking about something that they learned by way of a book. Man, miss me with all that stupid shit. Get the fuck out of here. Again, somebody could have read a book about dentistry, but would you let them niggas take your fucking wisdom teeth out without no fucking experience? Well, if you willing to do so, go ahead, cowboy. And when them niggas pull on nerve and hit some kind of artery and you bleed to death, ain't nobody fault but your own. And that's the same thing with all of this spiritual shit. If you such in such a rush that you can't vet somebody and see what they're about before you start to committing to trying to be the Baba Boomba of all things, then you get what you fucking deserve. Well, no fucking body told you that you needed to be the first one, and that's the problem. That's why all of these niggas be going to all of these fucking obscure places to trying to get these initiations so that they can come back and not have to fucking deal with nobody. Is it possible to break a curse or a cycle by paying a debt to someone? Depending. It depends. Like if it's a death, right? And really, it ain't yours to pay. If you didn't kill the person, it ain't your fucking debt. You know what I'm saying? Like, I tell that spirit, man, get the fuck on out of here, man. That's what you have seances for. So somebody could tell the spirit and light a candle for his stupid ass and tell him, go the fuck on into the light and leave me the fuck alone, you dummy. You know what I mean? I ain't do that shit to you, and what you ain't gonna do is be haunting me for the rest of my life because of some shit that some other nigga with the same blood as me did or some stupid shit. Because the spirits can be very uneducated. They are in a world where they are quite forgetful. And so sometimes you have to educate them. Absolutely. Apprentice, craftsman, master. Yeah, motherfuckers be like, I'm the fucking Baba Booey of all type of shit. And I'm like, my nigga, you can't even fucking pronounce none of this shit. Anyway. So, my best advice to you all is to forgive money. Absolve money of all the guilt that money is evil. And let's see how your relationship with money changes. Understand commodity, right? If you do something, if you have something, it is a commodity, depending on the supply and the demand of it, right? And so when you have a commodity, this will earn you money, which will bring you currency. But understand the stages. So, and remember, money is only gold and silver because it is forever. So like if I have 30 pounds of gold and I come back 10,000 years, it's still 30 pounds of gold. Okay? It ain't going to change. It's the sun, nothing is going to make it recede or decrease in size or weight. And so for that reason, it becomes standard. Right? A standard is something that is consistent. It does not move. It doesn't change. So this is why gold and silver are the standard, right, of money. Oil is a commodity. It's not money. It is a commodity because as the supply and the demand go up and down, the value of it will change, right? But gold and silver will not change their intrinsic value because they do not disintegrate, and they are not affected by water, nor fire, air, nor earth. Okay? And so when you understand that, you begin, like she said, you don't start begging, praying for the money. You ask money to come into your house and come into your bank account for a moment so that it comes and visits you and it comes and helps you work out some things and moves along. All right? Yeah, they're all saved, my dear. Yeah, and so money is not your enemy. It is not evil. It is not the devil's friend. It is a messenger and a steward of God here to assist us in the civility of human beings, in the exchange of goods and services, right? And so, in the Yoruba pantheon of things, money was born in Hiroshima. It was born in the ocean. And so, again, its nature is to nurture. So, freed money up of the guilt, make friends with the money, prepare a place for the money to come and sit down and rest for a moment, so that when it's time for money to go back to work, you send it to the right plantations to do the right thing. Well, that's why, and so you say that, interestingly enough, spiritualists are some of the most prolific and proficient gamblers, right? Is there a Misa coming up? Yeah, actually it is. You gotta hit my phone and find out when I'm doing one of those, because I gotta have a Misa real soon. Feel me? Because I just moved into a new house. Oh no, don't let this sell you IJ. That shit is a fucking a souvenir. You can get that in the souvenir shop. You know when you go to Miami, they got all the souvenirs in the Miami shit, and you come to New York, they got the souvenir shop and get the motherfucker. Well, when you go to the market, the motherfucking Africa, the niggas got souvenir shop too. And so you get the souvenirs, and you'll notice there ain't a whole lot of motherfuckers from there in the souvenir shop. But I'm gonna bid y'all farewell. Glasses up, like peace and progress to everybody's spiritual court, to their ancestral lineage. Let's make Black America great again with spiritualism, and let's wake up our ancestors to assist us in this new paradigm so that they can give us a heads up on how to get through this gauntlet. You know what I'm saying? Subscribe and share, as other people say. 'Cause I ain't never said that shit before, But yeah, if you find something valuable in this, don't keep it to your chest. Be charitable and share it, so that this time is not spent in vain. Like I said, good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and everybody have a great Father's Day. Honor your father if they're not alive. Light a candle for them. Say a prayer for them. Even if they were a bastard, they did one thing right, and that was ejaculate and make your silly ass. And so you cannot pay them for that. They made that decision in a haste, and here you are. So whether you like him or not, whether he was a fucking serial killer or not, you still gotta motherfucking honor him because you are part of him, and he's a part of you. So let's honor our fathers and our grandfathers and great-great-grandfathers and our patriarchs in our family who assisted in the manifestation of our physical existence. So, glasses up. This is Omedina Productions, Paddocky Theater. Y'all be blessed. Keep the glasses clean. And I'll see y'all next month.